Good afternoon, everybody. It is the 27th of February, 2024. It's Tuesday. It's 1:30 in the afternoon, and we have plus weather out here in Minsk, so that's great. We have +2, and I went jogging yesterday, and I could go today, but it's raining too much. Okay, first thing I want to talk about, to me, is very important. I tell you, it was very shocking. It has to do with what Elon Musk said. And I'll start with that, but first I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm going to be talking about later on in this video. It's going to be a lot about Iran, of course, and it's going to be about Ukraine. It's going to be a lot about Zelensky. There's going to be some about Belarus and Zelensky mostly. And that's the main crux of what I'm going to talk about, but there may be other little pieces of information. But this first one here has to do with Elon Musk, and he's like going full World Economic Forum mode. It's kind of like a "don't worry, be happy," or "you'll own nothing and be happy," or something like that. So he's coming out and he's saying that in the future work will be optional. Yeah, right. And the only time people are going to be going to the university is just for social occasions, to meet people, sit around and talk and hang out, and that's about it. So I guess we're all going to be really stupid for the most part. Otherwise you don't need any education anymore. He's actually going from the fact that AI will do all of our thinking for us and the robots will be doing all of the work. And so we'll have nothing to do but sit around at home, and I guess that's what the World Economic Forum was telling us. We're going to have everything delivered to us by drones. Nobody has to work anymore. So it's like, the World Economic Forum was actually saying that humans have no purpose. The future is without humans. So what kind of a future is it? It's not a future for us. So that none of this stuff makes any sense. And of course, we're getting a lot of technology developed, and robotics are doing a lot of the work. Actually, people are going to be out of work. But do you think you're going to sit at home? You won't even friggin' have a home because you won't have a job. So how are you going to pay for everything? How is anybody going to pay for like the water? Is it going to be free? Are the robots going to be doing it for us? And AI? Come on now. So how is your existence acknowledged? I mean, if you can't work, for example, do you really think that they're going to be giving everything to us free? You will own nothing and you will be happy. And then this stuff is just nothing but it's not even utopia. It's just a bunch of untrue. It's a crock of bull. And of course, they won't need humans. And of course, the big deal is to cause wars and to knock people off, get a bunch of people killed. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. If you look at the European Union, they're doing nothing but talking about war with Russia, war, whether Russia does anything or not. They want a war with Russia. It's like to get rid of a lot of people. I don't know. So the playground is a little bit more free for the Epstein class of people. And Elon Musk, even if he's not molesting any little children or doing any cheating work, anything like that, it's still the Epstein class. And how do we know what the Epstein class is? It's actually a class of people that have no respect for the rest of us. What they called, I guess, in former decades was the useless eaters. The peons, maybe they've said, or the serfs, the peasants. I guess that's all the rest of us. And if there's going to be robots making all of this stuff, so everybody that's normally manufacturing anything is not needed anymore. So what do you think your future is going to be? Do you think they want us to be hanging around and being useless eaters? And that's exactly how they look at us. But they're, of course, valuable. I mean, because they're the ones that want to, they're going to need a lot of us because, they want little girls and maybe even some little boys. A lot of them want the little boys. And maybe we're supposed to line up, take your daughters and, your little 6-year-old daughters and stuff and stand out in a line on the sidewalks. And some of the rich elites are going to come by and say, I'll take that one and I'll take that one. Because I do love jerky and I like some grape soda. And if you guys are knowing what that sort of stuff this seems to be alluding to. So we're having that already. They were talking about walking a pizza across the street, or was it walking jerky across the street and 2 bags of jerky in the freezer. There's so many codes and things that are being talked about, and there's just so much really dark stuff, as you all know. And how many people have been coming out? Like, what was it, Roseanne Barr or something? And so many other people. And you've had it alluded to what this guy that played Jesus in Mel Gibson's movie, as well as Mel Gibson to a large extent, and a lot of other people. They're talking about a lot of things that they have either seen or heard of that they know is true because of who they hear it from and how often they hear it. But you're not supposed to talk about it. So this is it's some crazy stuff. I mean, I don't know. Does that justify it? Crazy? It's disgusting, I guess is a better word for it, right? I guess. So the odd thing is that you have Elon Musk out there indoctrinating us as well. You know, we thought we would have a lot of trust in Donald Trump, that he would stand up for the blue-collar worker. And as we've all seen by his big, beautiful bill, that's mostly just huge tax cuts for all of the super rich people, so they don't pay taxes. And the blue-collar worker, they're not needed anymore. Anyway, and even Elon Musk. I thought Elon Musk is a kind of a regular type of guy and all that, and he's involved in this indoctrination as well. So we're being indoctrinated right now to say, oh, just kick back. You don't have to work anymore, and they're going to just be sending us money, or we won't need money anymore because everything will be free. They'll just come and have drones delivering it to your balcony. Yeah. Bunch of crap. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough on that topic. We're all watching this stuff with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. You know, it's Trump's that have no position in the government whatsoever. But Donald Trump is using these super rich guys. I think, is Witkoff a billionaire? Seems like most everybody that works in Donald Trump's cabinet or just works for Donald Trump, they seem to all be billionaires, and I'm pretty sure that Witkoff is one, and maybe even his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. I'm sure he is Jared Kushner. There's no way that anybody's going to be associated with Trump that's not in his family that's not going to be a billionaire, maybe multi-billionaire. So they're talking about this, and you saw Witkoff. Everybody saw this. He's supposed to be well-informed. He's working with these people in Iran. He's working with these people in Ukraine and Russia. And he's supposed to know a lot, and as well as Israel. And of course, don't even think about being informed properly when you're working with Israel, because you're just going to get whatever Israel wants you to think or to believe. To believe! And not that it's necessarily true. So he said the other day, and a lot of people are having a meal of this, and when I heard that, I had a big meal of it. He's alluding to the fact that Iran is 1 week away from a nuclear bomb. I mean, how many times have we heard that from Netanyahu? 2 months away, 2 weeks away, 2 days away. I mean, and that's been going on for many, many, many decades, that Iran is right near to having a nuclear bomb. And the thing is, they keep saying that they don't have any desire to get a nuclear bomb. They don't have any need to. It's against their religion to get a nuclear bomb. And there's no evidence that they are trying to get a nuclear bomb. Oh boy, nuclear bombs are really getting talked about today. Really getting talked about today. Wait till I get to about the European Union. And there's a couple points here, and I'll get to that soon. Nuclear weapons. They already have some in like a couple of countries, Great Britain and France, and Germany doesn't. And but there's going to be maybe somebody that will have one soon, and it's not going to be Germany, and it's not going to be Sweden, it's not going to be Italy, it's going to be somebody else maybe. So anyway, I'm guessing that this 1 week that Steve Witkoff is talking about, that's a talking point, of course, from Israel. And of course, he's probably been told to say that. Israel tells people what to say, and they're the master. They're the master, so we all know that. Everything that the news puts out in America is all from Israel. So, and most everything that Donald Trump says is from Israel. Like 32,000 people were killed by the Iranian government on those days of protest. The most of the people that were killed were the people killed by Israel, Mossad, and Mossad's acolytes there. So they're agents. So is Witkoff just completely and utterly stupid, or is he just going with the talking points? I think he's going with the talking points. I mean, how do you get to where he's got without having some modicum of intelligence? So he knows what he's saying. Wow. And I think he maybe just threw it out there in such a way, how he said it. They could be, I can't remember actually how he said it. It's a way to give him a little bit of breathing space, of course. He's not like anybody else, including Donald Trump. They actually work for Israel more than they work for the United States. It's just a sad thing. It's a sad thing. It goes back for many decades. You see senators that are more working for Israel than they are working for the United States. And that is an undeniable fact. And it's absolutely true. When people were discovered working for Israel in the United States Senate, the people that had exposed it and had evidence, those are the ones that were in trouble. What are you doing? I got a friend here again. What are you doing? You want to say hi to everybody? Want to give them a cat smile? Give them a cat smile. There, that's a cat smile. There you go. Okay. But I got to get you out of here because you're going to be stealing the show. And look at these hands. I'm the Trump type of guy. The greatest that has ever been by far. So, okay. Get you out of here. Whoa, what happened to my cat? I just had a cat here. It just disappeared. So let's continue. There has been some kind of a belief that Israel is going to use nuclear weapons against Iran. And, there's so many different scenarios that everybody's talking about how this thing is going to come down. It's obvious. There is going to be some kind of a strike on Iran. It's undeniable fact. But how it's going to come down, who's going to do it, when are they going to do it, that is the big question. I have a good idea on when that's going to be. I'll talk about that soon. But the fact is that Israel is really threatening Iran big time. Lets a lot of people know that they are probably thinking also on nukes. We're getting so close. The problem is with this doomsday clock, and they say how many seconds away we are from a nuclear Armageddon or whatever in the world. The problem is they never set it back when tensions get released a little bit. So now it's 5 seconds away. I have not the faintest idea, but anyway, it's a stupid sort of a deal anyway. If I were to make some kind of a clock like that, whenever the scare goes away, I would turn the thing way down, and nobody can tell anyway. I'll tell you what, when something like this is going to happen, it's going to be sort of out of the blue, I would think. They're not going to say, oh, we're going to use a nuclear bomb tomorrow. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to be a surprise. So what is this? Oh, somebody, I was just going to throw this phrase out there because I wrote it here in this time. Somebody was saying that this Epstein stuff is part of the late stage of capitalism. I don't know. I guess if you're going for that sort of a thing, it might even be true. It's definite that it's a huge amount of decadence that what's going on in the West. And a lot of these super elite rich people, they look at us, regular people, as some sort of I don't know, I keep wanting to say like crops, like we're something to be harvested from or something like that. It's I don't know, or maybe some like some peaches on a shelf that they just say, I'll take this one and that one, and they can smash them and do anything they want with them. I don't know. That's a real terrible attitude to have. And I'm glad I'm over here in these countries over here, because they don't think that way. I don't think that the population gets that feeling, and I don't think that the leadership of Russia or Belarus looks at their people that way. And it may very well be true that there are arrogant people that think very similar to those in the West, but I think it's something to do with the culture here, that they don't really look at people as being something that they can just wipe out whenever they feel like it. And they would try to preserve people's life, and they have a lot more respect for people's lives and what they do over here. There's one thing that, of course, that they want people to keep working, obviously. If you don't work, it's like if you're not an asset, you're a liability. So I understand that. Like me, I'm not working right now. But anyway, I'm still on. Anyway, I'm going to change that, I hope, very soon. But I'm not getting a bunch of money from the state or nothing like that. You know, the main thing is that it makes me feel really, really terrible is they give me, believe it or not, and I'll admit this right here on YouTube, the government here pays me 200 rubles a month, which is, I don't know, 60 some dollars or something US, which is better than nothing. I only worked 5 months in Belarus, but they're probably not going to give me crap from the United States, and I don't think I'm even eligible yet. Maybe I think I have to wait another year. And Germany, I worked many years in Germany. I don't know how many years altogether, and they're not going to give me much either. But it's weird that, but you work here for a long time in Belarus, and you get, I've heard of people getting 1,000 rubles a month or something like that. I don't know. It's, which is maybe not really that much money when you think about it, but then you don't get a lot in the States either, really. If you're just getting like Social Security or something, you have to put in for your own accounts and things. And of course, they have that sort of thing here too. Or there's other things you could do. I was actually saving gold, and then Ursula von der Leyen was coming out and saying that they're going to start confiscating people's bank accounts to send the money to Ukraine. So I was thinking the first thing that's going to go is gold, so I had to redeem it. And then since that time, it's more than doubled in the value. So, yeah, lost a lot of that. But that savings that I got from it, I'm living from it now. And of course, if I could have possibly looked into the future, you know, it's another thing about these Epstein class. And I see as Ursula von der Leyen is also one of those. You know, I don't know if she's having little boys or little girls or what the heck she is doing, but she's definitely a very, very corrupt person. And that's an undeniable fact. When you look at what she did with Pfizer, you know, huge amounts of, you know, what did she want? Like hundreds of millions of these vaccines or something from Pfizer. And that turned out to be some big thing of stealing some money, you know, and look at, she's working with Zelensky. Oh, I wonder what they're doing, you know, but beyond that. So, but she's an Epstein class person, and just the fact that she's a woman doesn't mean she's not. I mean, you can be women in the Epstein class too. Unfortunately, Melania Trump is also in the Epstein class. I don't know that she had anything to do with anything whatsoever, but she's unfortunately in that class. Obviously, she was with Donald when they hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and so what does that make you if it looks like a duck? And you know, I mean, come on. So, but like I said, I don't know that she did anything weird or stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that you have to, you know, have done anything weird. And I don't think she's actually one that looks down on people that are poor either, or not as rich as they are. I don't know. But unfortunately, she would have to be put in that class. And I'm not saying, oh, everybody in the class is evil. Don't get me wrong. So anyhow, let me keep going on this stuff here. So let's talk about nukes some more. This is about nukes. This whole thing is friggin' about nukes. And there is, I guess, irrefutable evidence and that the Russian intelligence has gotten, and it's not only that, I guess it's even from the words of some of these leaders in Western Europe, and I'm talking particularly about France and the UK, and it alludes to Germany as well, but they want to give the components to Ukraine to make nukes, or at least a dirty bomb, because they want something to put pressure on Russia. That's what they say. Well, you know, that's a lot more than just pressure, you know. And I'll tell you what, that's going to open up something much, much worse, much, much worse if they plan on doing that. Apparently, Germany didn't want any part of that. And Germany doesn't have nuclear weapons, but there's at least some value of merits, except for being a complete and total idiot and trying to collapse Germany, just like Olaf Scholz before him. I don't know. There's some sort of a master plan to destroy Germany's economy. I don't know who's running that, whether it's BlackRock, and that's who Friedrich Merz worked with, you know, the leader of Germany now. You know, there was corruption in Olaf Scholz. even before he became the Chancellor of Germany. So they're having a lot of corrupt people in there and a lot of people that don't seem to know what they're doing. Annalena Baerbock is a perfect example of it. Hey, look at Ursula von der Leyen. She was the friggin' Minister of Defense. Look at how she screwed up Europe so very badly. And she screwed up the Bundeswehr, the defense of Germany. When she was the Minister of Defense, she screwed it up royally, So why do they put people that they can maybe speak well, but they have no competence? I don't know what the heck. What is she, a gynecologist or something like that? So I guess that makes her good to give birth to war, I guess, is what Ursula von der Leyen is, what it's all about, or give birth to a new Germany? I don't know. So what else do we got here? There is, I was going to say, Ukraine has already got chemical weapons. They got biological weapons. And it's a known fact, an undeniable fact, and it's even been admitted by the United States government, Victoria Nuland, as you all know, that these people are working on genetic weapons. And I tell you, I don't think, it's weird because I used to not be able to talk about this on YouTube. I get deleted for 3 weeks. I can't put up a video for 3 weeks often when I talk about this stuff. So now they have their other ways. They just don't send any of my videos and put it into anybody else's feed so that nobody will ever watch my videos. I'll bet they don't even give notifications to some of the subscribers that, for my videos. That's why, you get a lot of low views or not very many views. I was even getting less and no notifications about Candace Owens' videos after I was watching some and putting up some comments. All of a sudden, bam, I get none of them whatsoever. And I've heard about, they have all these different tools on this platform. The one they're using on me, of course, is working. And I'm not saying I'm a great vlogger. Great, I'm so good that I should get 20,000 views. I'm not saying that. But I know that I would definitely have a lot more. I would be up in at least some hundreds of views every time I put a video up if it was done fairly, but it's not done fairly. Because I see people that have some real crappy stuff and they're getting thousands of views. And it's like, what the? I remember, and I've even talked about this before on my videos. There's a guy living in Russia and he does the same thing nearly every video. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I was sitting there and I saw some of his videos, the worst things you could ever see. He starts out with going outside and he throws the trash in the trash thing over his shoulder, like, look at this. I don't even have to look at it, and I throw it over. And then he goes to the store and he starts getting some food or items and he shows it in front of the camera so the camera sees he's got a can of peas or something like that in some kind of a local small supermarket or something like that. I think he takes his kid with him or something like that, and he just shows it. I don't even think he's talking. And then he goes home, and I think his in-laws, he's married, I guess, to a Russian, and his the parents, the grandparents of his child, make the meals while his wife is working, and he's playing with them on the floor, and then he gets thousands of views. And it's like, oh, I guess that's really fascinating. I don't know. People don't like politics. I talk about politics on these things. But anyway, that might not be fascinating for a lot of people either. But anyway, let's continue here. Sorry, I went on a tangent. So what is the greatest dream of these people? And it's not, I don't see, Zelensky just wants any kind of weapon. Any kind of weapon. He wants as many weapons of any kind he can possibly get to use against Russia. And he said on tape that the thing that keeps him going is his hatred of Russians. So, and he said that on video. And but a lot of these people, and I'm not talking about just Zelensky, or I'm talking about a lot of these elites and everybody that moves around in these circles. They have a dream of genetic weapons. That is the ultimate for them, that they can start a virus that will affect one so-called ethnic group and it won't affect other ethnic groups. And it is an undeniable fact that the United States has been working for this for a long time. And I've given examples of this. You can look at, you can maybe choose some words, get the right words, and you'll find these reports in the internet. Then it was that program, and I've talked about it before, that was this, the United States Air Force. They were going around taking blood samples from all different types of Russian ethnic groups. And Vladimir Putin saw this, and Sergei Lavrov saw this, and they were asking on the highest levels in the United States government, they were saying, is the United States Air Force taking samples of all different types of Russian ethnic groups? Why are they doing that? And it was done many, many times. I can't remember what the excuse was that the United States, we want to save them or something. I have not the faintest idea. And then you saw a lot of these reports, of course, from these laboratories that were, maybe they couldn't get rid of the material. They got rid of the worst material, and that was ordered on today is exactly February 24th when the special military operation started. Happy anniversary, everybody! But I guess it was on the day after, or maybe it was even the day before, Zelensky had ordered these laboratories to destroy certain types of evidence and things. Some of that, of course, they whisked out of there, and they went into maybe safer places. They believe inside of Ukraine. Some places maybe didn't get rid of some of that information or the evidence because Russia found a lot of this stuff and saw what they were working on. They saw a lot of documents that were in English, and they were from departments in the United States government, and by special groups, and it said exactly what they were working on, these sort of things. And it's like infecting water, infecting like birds, migratory birds, to infect other animals. Yeah, and poisoning water, things like that. There was a lot of things working on certain types of chemicals. And like I said, I talked about this a couple of years ago, and I would get deleted for that. And of course, there's these groups by the very, very wealthy and prominent politicians, family called Biden. Did I say that? You know, like the Rosemont Seneca. There's other groups, and I even forgot who they are. I just know that this is happening. They have a lot of really illicit crap going on in Ukraine, and everybody said, that's conspiracy, that's Russian propaganda. And then in the Epstein files, they find a lot of this stuff, and it corroborates exactly a lot of the things that Russian intelligence was uncovering, what they were doing with children, what they were doing, like birthing and babies, and what was it called, Epstein, tailor-made or dream baby, or some kind of a custom babies or custom, and a lot of time you don't even maybe want to ponder on what these babies are going to get used for. And we've too many people talking about this, and I've already said that I don't have the faintest. And of course, if they're going to do this with women, just get them down there, and they're basically locked up, and I don't know what they do. They have maybe a little bit nice area there, but they're kept there, and I don't know when they send them there, 7th month of pregnancy, and they got to hang around there and whatever. And there's just too much stuff. There's just too much stuff going on. And you have to look at that in a positive way, like Turning Point USA and what they were doing with pregnant young girls and lots of stuff. But you have to be thankful that the information is out, and people are starting to wake up and seeing what kind of groups and what things are circulating in our society. And it's not just Epstein class. It's, like I said, in Ukraine, they didn't have a Epstein class there. And Turning Point USA, what the things that they were, loosely involved with, that's not necessarily Epstein stuff either. So anyway, and I'm not saying, I think that was even during the lifetime of Charlie Kirk, and I don't think that Charlie Kirk would ever get involved in anything like that. Erica, I don't know. You hear a lot of bad stuff. Anyway, so I think a lot of these experiments, they were doing experiments, and there was one I mentioned in a couple other videos about 48 Ukrainian soldiers that they were doing experiments with some of these, viruses and things. And apparently it was like out of 48, one lived and 47 died on their own soldiers even. You would think they would get Russian POWs or something and use them. And maybe they did. Some terrible things, of course, happened. And we're going to hear a lot of stuff after. Whenever the end of this military operation ends, I tell you, there's going to be a lot of stuff. You're not going to get it in the West, of course. Definitely they're not going to tell you. But it's some nasty stuff. Okay. But as I'm saying, the blood is intermingled, in so many different groups, and there's a lot of people trying to do genetic mapping, I believe it's called, I don't know, in Ukraine, and to find out that they are Ukrainian, the master race, the masters, and some actually look at it that way, and that's what they think. And if they find out that their blood has some Russian in it or something like that, they're not very happy. One person destroyed an entire lab because they told him he had different groups and not just like the Lvov area, which is Ukrainian. It's nearly impossible to be, rein rassiger, like even me, blonde-haired, grew up gray eyes or blue eyes, whatever you want to say. I come from the northern Europe part of Deutschland, of Germany and all that. But I'm a mix of different things as well. So like all of us are, I don't know, crazy people. I tell you what, crazy stuff. So anyway, infecting people or trying to pass these viruses around is some really dangerous business. And then there's always going to be some people that are involved in your machinations, your cunning plan, and they're going to get hurt from it too. And maybe their offspring is, it's like, oh, well, maybe you better not try this. So that's not really worked. They were trying that in Israel. That's a known fact as well. That was quite a while ago. I think that was in the 1980s. And I haven't heard about it from Israel for a long time. But they were experimenting with this genetic stuff to see how they can cleanse the land of Palestinians and Gazans, and which are Palestinians, and keep the chosen ones, firmly in place, I guess you would say. Like I said, I don't think I don't think they've been doing that. I think it was the 80s when I heard about it. No, it was in the 90s maybe. Yeah, the 1990s. Forget it anyway. Just realize that was happening and keep your ears open. Maybe you'll hear about it again sometime. Okay. So, like I just said, and I guess I have to emphasize that point, the UK and France, and it's a known fact, and they are trying to work on finding out a way to get some of this material to Ukraine to make it look as if Ukraine developed it on their own, that the stuff did not come, the knowledge or the materials or the equipment, none of it came from Great Britain or France. Ukraine just did it on their own. So that's what the whole objective of that is. And then they probably use it on Russia first. I tell you, it's not getting very nice, sir. And anyway, we can talk a little more about. I think I had something else about nuclear. Yeah, I did. I'll get to that too. So there's going to be a strike on Iran, and the question is, when is it going to be, and in what form is it going to take? Like, who's going to be doing it? How are they going to do it? Is it going to be decapitation? Is it going to be, what were they calling it, these limited strikes or whatever? Because there's been a lot of talk in the past 2 days that the United States either will get Israel to do it, or because maybe Israel wants to do it. I don't know. But anyway, so the talk is that Israel will do it. And because in the United States, midterms are coming up, and it just is not a good look. It's just not a good look, especially when it's going to be a prolonged sort of a deal. Just doesn't look good, does it? And if American lives are lost, oh, that's going to be even worse. So the Republicans can kiss their backside goodbye. And Zelensky is, of course, hoping to get the Democrats in, because he knows that well, we'll get to that. So the question is when and what form will it take? So maybe it'll be Israel, but I have a decent scenario. Somebody was talking about it. I'm not even sure on which site. And I looked into it a little bit more and add my own little 2 cents into it. But part of this comes into play that Steve Witkoff is publicly saying that he has not been able to get Iran to capitulate. He used the word capitulate, to surrender. So Iran is supposed to surrender, And actually, for example, get rid of these missiles, even though every country on earth is allowed to develop their own missiles like that, and nobody's ever going to say anything, such as Israel. Israel gets everything and anything they want, and anybody else, they'll get that as well. Anything you want, you can do it, except if you're from Iran. Iran is not allowed to do it. So they want to surrender, and of course, amongst the regular stuff, no enrichment whatsoever. That's a red line for Donald Trump, even though all other countries on planet Earth are allowed to enrich uranium, but not Iran, because you're Untermenschen. So, how is this going to do? Who is the why? There's going to be a who and a why. I guess I can tell you about how that's supposed to work out. In a nutshell, Israel will strike Iran anywhere starting from the night of the 2nd of March. And it's probably like 2nd or 3rd of March primarily. It's probably just, it's not going to be like the 5th of March. I mean, as far as this prediction goes, it has to go on, I think, the 2nd or 3rd. And why do I say that? And it's going to be Israel. I mean, this is a very good possibility. It's because, I don't know if they call that Purim. It's called Purim, and that has to do, it's in the book of Esther. And if I can remember right, it's something to do with some sort of a revenge. And I think Israelis went around and killed all the children of the Persians or something. It's probably all definitely not even true at all. But anyway, it's something in the Bible. And Esther, of course, is an incredibly evil woman, but the victim, just like Donald Trump. Oh, they're all mistreating us with tariffs. We only threaten them and bomb people at our will and all that, but we're the victims. It's just like Israel is always the victims. They're bombing all their people around, all the countries around them, threatening everybody. They got nuclear bombs. They got, they got all the firepower they could ever want and ever dream of, and the United States will always give it to them. But they're the poor victims, Anyway, but they're trying to go back in these times. I guess it was some wife of some Persian king, or probably named Darius. They seem to be named Darius. I don't know, most of the time. And but I don't go by the Bible, like I said. I mean, there is actually definitely some truth in the Bible as far as historical things are made, and there's a tremendous amount of wisdom, and of course there's a tremendous amount of evil in the Bible. But this Esther stuff is I don't know, and that's, I think, the beloved book. I think what was that? I think it was Benjamin Netanyahu gifted like a copy of the book of Esther to Obama. I believe that's how that goes, or Biden. I don't know. Biden can have somebody read it to him at story time. I think it was the children's version he got. No, I don't know exactly. But Purim, it's supposed to be, I think it's the time when they killed all the children or something of the Persians or whatever. But anyway, that is a big day for them to celebrate how they killed a bunch of innocent people. That's what the Israelis are into. At least I'm not talking about all Israelis, but I'm talking about in their culture, they like killing innocent people. So that's when they were killing a bunch of children. So that's, something that they can celebrate. And I don't know, maybe they're going to try to do this again, maybe to children or something like that in Iran. So we'll have to see that 2nd or 3rd of March. Ooh, just keep your eyes open for that one. So Trump, let's get to another subject. He said that there is not going to be limited strikes if that scenario doesn't come true, what I just told you with Purim and Israel doing all the nasty stuff. Donald Trump says that that's fake news, that as far as limited strikes, there's no intention whatsoever that he would ever do limited strikes. Apparently he wants to do, a great big monster strike. And within that, I would say that he's going to do that. Within that big monster strike, I guess I predict it's going to be something similar to what Israel does, and it's going to be like kind of a decapitation. They're going to be trying to pick off a whole bunch of the leaders of the military and political spectrums. And I've said that already weeks ago, and other people are now talking about it. I don't even know where I heard it or gathered that, or if I thought of that myself. sometimes I do put some stuff out, and then like sometimes even a week later, the news catches up to it. It's really, that's why I get maybe 60 views, and other people, get 2,000 or 5,000 or 20,000 or whatever views. And I don't know. I'm not going to go on with the same stuff that everybody is talking about right now, because it's getting kind of sick. Nobody knows exactly how the strike is going to come down. So anyway, so Donald Trump said it's fake news to do limited strikes. It definitely makes sense that he's telling the truth on that one. So why would he say, "Oh, I'm just going to do some little strikes," and he's saying that's fake. I'm not going to do just some little strikes. So obviously, he's telling the truth. It's not going to be limited strikes. Okay, if it is, it's not like that was a very wise or frightening way to go about doing anything. Again, Israel wants to go to war against Hamas. And the United States has ordered all Americans to leave Lebanon. That's not where Hamas is at. That's where Hezbollah is at. I think it was like the top priority, leave now. I think it's even worse than when they keep telling us to leave Belarus. It's been twice since I've been here. Get out of Belarus right away. And I don't know if it was a level 4. See, this is a level 4. I don't know what level it was when they were telling us to leave Belarus. And it's like, why? Why should we leave Belarus? Why? I don't know. Zelensky doesn't have nukes, and neither does Poland, and Germany doesn't. So who would be, the only time I would kind of really think about it is if I'm thinking that some nukes are going to get launched, maybe. So, Bezalel Smotrich, Smotrich, that he really, really hates Palestinians, and he's a real supremacist. So I guess that was coming from him that they're going to go. Well, Benjamin Netanyahu said too that I guess it's within days they're really going to go sock it to Hamas. So they're going to go right again into Gaza and what's left of it, and really start tearing crap down. Maybe they actually got some real plans on how they want to build all these hotels and things like that. So, well, we got to clear this area. Oh, but people live there. Don't worry about it. We'll go after Hamas, next week. And I think they threatened this sometime. I heard it before, and I didn't even talk about it because it was 2 weeks away. I said, no, it was 10 days. I think they said Hamas has 10 days to disarm, to be completely defenseless, just like what they're trying to do to Iran, and so that they can move in on the attack, obviously. You'd have to be really incredibly stupid. And Smotrich, he's head of the Ministry of Finance. And in a lot of countries, the Minister of Finance is often second in line for the leadership of the country. So he's a rising star, Smotrich, a rising star of hatred. Okay, Lindsey Graham. Oh boy, another nutcase. Lindsey Graham is saying if Trump bombs Iran, the Middle East will be a great place. It'll be It'll be like it'll be, gee, you just can't imagine how great it's going to be. And everybody's going to lock hands together and go back and forth and say kumbaya, kumbaya, kumbaya. So everybody, and they'll all love Israel, of course. Saudi Arabia, I think, is what he was getting at. It's a kind of like Netanyahu always does. He says, if you get rid of Saddam Hussein, I assure you it'll make enormous consequences for the region. So, yeah, it seems like it didn't work, did it? So it's the same sort of a deal. But I think it was saying, Lindsey Graham was saying it'll be the best it's been in the past 1,000 years. All they have to do is destroy Iran. Yeah. And everything will be fabulous. Milk and honey and candy bars. Some kind of candy. And I hope it's going to be good beer too. Good Belarusian beer. That's as long as they destroy Iran. Okay. So beer. What do I like with beer? Some really good bread. They make good bread here too. For all of you out there that likes good, I tell you, I used to love a lot of the bread in Germany, and then I started seeing, you got to be real careful. A lot of the bakeries aren't so great, and some are really, really good. But you find a lot of good. It's just like the stuff in Germany. You find some really good breads over here if you like good bread. It's really getting impressive over here in Belarus in so many ways. You got to look, and you can find some great eclairs. Wait a minute, that's from France. That's not Germany. Oh, and good beer. I tell you, Belarus, I can't say enough about it, but that's all I'm going to say for right now because I'm doing a political video. Okay, so the Russian intelligence, like I told you already, they've revealed evidence. UK and France plan to transfer these things to Ukraine, and we're going to be in for real trouble if that happens. So yesterday, Zelensky, he put out that he is ready, willing, and hopefully able to continue the war for another 3 years. And he even said why he's talking 3 years. It's because he wants to outlast Trump. Even though Trump is sending, of course, the fact is that Europe is paying for it. And they're still trying to look for lots of money. There was one for, a lot of, from the European Union. And I guess just yesterday, another bid was blocked by Hungary. I think it was for $106 billion to go to Ukraine. They're just trying to throw the money at Ukraine like you would never believe. Jeez, I don't know, it's like it's on fire. The money's on fire in Europe, and they're trying to get it to Ukraine. The root of all evil, I guess. But yeah, Zelensky wants to last 3 years because he wants to outlast Donald Trump, so that he thinks that and it's not for the money, because he's getting the weapons. He's getting a lot of weapons. He's getting artillery shells. They're working like night and day in a lot of these countries, and they're sending him like 155 millimeter artillery shells like nobody's business. So they're getting this stuff. So that's not the point. The point is that Zelensky wants to get the United States actively involved in the war, because then the United States will take their resources and put it, into trying to get rid of the Russians. Donald Trump has been trying in many other ways, trying to do secondary sanctions on anybody that will trade with Russia. So he's trying to destroy Russia's ability to pay for any of these weapons and things that, they're involved in this war. And of course, he rewards Zelensky most of the time. They're getting all the intelligence, satellite data, everything. Anything he's not giving them everything they need. See, the weapons are going through Europe. Israel gets everything it's needed. But, they're kind of like partners when a lot of these people are found out. And I guess there's more people always being found by this Nabu and what's the other thing, with corruption in Ukraine. And most of these people all moved to Israel, which is their sister country. That's Nazis. They have Nazis in Ukraine, definitely. And you have the Nazis, the Zio-Nazis in Israel. So that's exactly what's going on. And they're partners in crime. And you thought, you out there, you thought it had to do with a hatred of Jews. And for the little rank and file, I think, in the Azov people, they don't like the Jews. But there's never any Jews put in their sights anywhere so that they can shoot and kill them. And of course, they're funded, all the money for all of the training and all of that for the Azov battalion, the people that hate the Jews, is done, believe it or not, by Jews. The Jews are paying for everything they've got. And it makes you wonder. But the people up, once you become maybe even senior NCOs as well as officers, and of course that Israel are your patrons, so you're going to just keep on supporting Israel. And they're Jewish mostly. But I guess, again, that's wrong. So many people are saying that the head government, people like Benjamin Netanyahu, for instance, is not even Jewish. They play to be like they're Jewish, but they're not Jewish. They're not religious. They're not spiritual at all. So that's just what a lot of people are saying. And you would see by the way they act, and you maybe see some of the doctrines of their religion, and they're not following the doctrine of their own religion. So I guess I would have to agree with whoever says that. So Zelensky wants a new president, and if it's J.D. Vance runs, I don't think he's going to accommodate Zelensky. Was probably, you need a Democrat probably in there, because they can maybe get them more actively involved in the war. So apparently, you know. So more, since Slovakia and Hungary are blocking these billions of euros that Ukraine needs badly, it is all because Ukraine refuses to open up the Druzhba oil pipeline. I think I said in the last video that I talked about this, I said gas, but that's oil pipeline. I don't think there's an accompanying gas, but I'm not positive. Anyway, so they're blocking that, and I guess they repaired the damage that they've done. They temporarily bomb it here and there and everywhere, and I guess the damage is already complete, but they're still refusing to open it up. And obviously everybody is saying it's for pressure on the elections in Hungary, and the EU really wants to get rid of Orban, and of course Zelensky does. He hates him with a passion. Zelensky hates a lot of people, so I guess that's what it is, to make life miserable for the Hungarians and to blame it on their leader. You know, you have to pay us a lot of money to go kill a bunch of people that are sending you your energy, or else. Anyway. But since it's getting blocked, the money anyway, as you all know, I just said that they're thinking about taking the frozen assets from Russia again, the EU. So they're going to be pressuring on that again. And there was a noteworthy thing, Szarco or whatever, he's the foreign minister of Hungary, what he said, it was very interesting. I didn't write it down exactly the way I would read it, but I want to get the gist about this so you don't get a little bit confused. The EU Commission, you know, as you see how they're treating Ukraine, everything for Ukraine, trying to find is billions, literally even hundreds of billions of dollars for Ukraine. So Szarco was saying that the EU Commission looks out more for Ukraine than it does for the EU member states. So he said, why don't they just call it the Ukraine Commission instead of the EU Commission? Because they're not doing anything for Hungary except for punishments, maybe even, Viktor Orban in Hungary or Robert Fico in Slovakia. So the Ukrainian Commission, I guess, is what it should be called. And, okay, Zelensky, he continues to urge his Western partners to help him against Belarus. So he wants a color revolution. I've made that clear in other videos. So he's looking for any kind of, very strange, this guy. Very strange. Belarus does very little in this war. And of course, Russia couldn't even do without Belarus, because there is no cross-border attacks from Belarus into Ukraine. It's not happening. It's all from Russia into Ukraine. That's where the attacks are all occurring. And but Zelensky wants a war against Belarus, and it's like, well, why does he want to open up another front in his war? It's going to be a two-front war. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to go about trying to tell you so much on why that makes sense, and it's because it's very harebrained. I don't know. But it's not just the color revolution. He wants other attacks now. He's talking now about striking the Orishniks. There are already some Orishnik missiles, and that's a very devastating hypersonic missile. And it causes no fallout, but it can be very destructive. And it goes very fast. There's no defense against Orishniks. And Zelensky is saying that it is a legitimate target for Europe to be hitting these Orishniks, the launchers, as well as the launchers with the missiles, or even if you find a storage place, which they don't have any, I don't think yet. Russia is producing these Orishnik, and they're very new. I don't know, when did the serial production start? Months ago, less than a year ago, I believe. So they're making a lot for themselves, and they've used a few since that time, the Russians, and they're going into Belarus. And how many are put in by now? I don't think anybody has mentioned a specific number, but Zelensky says they're not all there yet, and he is urging say Poland and the Baltic states, and which are right on the border there of Belarus, and I'm sure he's even talking to France and the UK, and maybe even Germany, to strike, to hit these Orishniks, to bomb them, to send missiles and hit these Orishniks and the launchers. Incredible that they're legitimate targets. Yeah, legitimate targets. But you go ahead, you just try one and say it missed. Say you miss. That's going to be enough right there to warrant a counterattack by Belarus. And is that what you really want? He kind of does, I think. I think he's going by, Trump saying, that's unfair. Now we have to get in because it's unfair of the big bad union state between Belarus and Russia to be having a two-front war against little innocent Ukraine, which is the biggest country in Western Europe. We can't do that. We can't look at that. But I guess that's what his logic is. Very kind of a little bit harebrained. So Zelensky, he said it's legitimate targets to hit those things. And I guess he wants to have everything hit before the others, whatever other missiles are arrive, before they arrive. And obviously he's got some spies. A lot of these countries do. And there are people that are reporting to Ukraine. A lot of people are, So he wants to hit those that are there, and then maybe hit the ones when they're coming in as well. And Zelensky is also demanding of Donald Trump to stop talking to Lukashenko, Belarus. He's put this stuff out in tweets. He's saying I guess he's like demanding Donald Trump to stop talking to Lukashenko. I don't know what his fixation is on Belarus lately. So it seems like every time he gives anything more than just a few words talk, he's got to throw something in about Belarus lately. It's a very strange thing. I don't know why he wants to cruise for a bruising against Belarus. Anyway. And in Mexico, as far as this narco war that's still going on, I didn't remember the name of this cartel. It's not that important anyway. But it's a cartel. And Mexico, apparently that was done without much. I don't know if any little bit maybe was done with the U.S., but they didn't use any U.S. personnel or anything as far as the attack is concerned on trying to kill this guy, whatever his name is, from this cartel. And they're kind of going hog wild a little bit right now, a lot of these members of this cartel. And of course, I think they're shooting some people and destroying property and, going to some tizzy fit. But that doesn't mean too much, because if they need to meet the new boss, he's not the same as the old boss. I guess the new guy that has just come in, he was kind of close to the guy that they killed, whose name I forgot. But this guy, he's a little bit easier name to remember because I think it's Yogurt. El Yogurt or something like that. Something to do with yogurt, I believe. And I guess he's even worse. And he's more brutal than the old guy. So meet the new boss. And already there's a lot of things going on. Setting up roadblocks, burning cars, and, temper tantrums. So I don't know. Maybe this won't be over very soon, I guess. I might have mentioned in the last video already, I'll just say it again, just in case. Greenland is coming out and saying they have no need for this hospital boat that Donald Trump says they're in bad need of. Donald Trump is doing it for a PR stunt. So he's sending some hospital boat to Greenland. He's trying to maybe get into the good graces of the Greenland people in case he's able to, have a referendum and, everybody, just like what he did in his other election. Oh, Donald Trump loves us. And of course, all of us fell for that. I mean, and it seemed legitimate. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I guess some of these people should realize, and I think most of them do. I don't know if they want anything to do with Donald Trump and Donald being part of Donald Trump's imperial ambition. So I don't know. Donald Trump, now why doesn't he send this boat to Gaza where they really, really do need it? has that ever occurred to him? And apparently this boat is coming out of Louisiana. I guess it's from the governor in Louisiana sending this in conjunction with Donald Trump. But why don't they divert to Gaza? Weather is better. Some of the people in their time off, they can go on the beaches maybe or something like that. Well, why don't you go and save the people of Gaza if you care about the Gazans so much? So maybe it's at this point, because of the rewards, I guess he cares about the Greenlanders a little bit more. So I don't know. It's interesting. So that's actually all I have to say. And who knows what the world is going to bring tomorrow. But like I said, I'm thinking maybe around 2nd or 3rd of March is when Donald Trump is going to make that strike. And push the like button if you haven't already. Don't push it twice, just push it one time. And thanks for joining me, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.